Pace is dropped on a Friday here at Soccer Down Here, Soccer's morning show. John here, you there. There's a lot to talk about this morning, newsy stuff. And so we'll be bouncing around all over the place when it comes to all the news to get you ready for the weekend. We've got some news on some possible transfers, folks coming back to Major League Soccer, folks not happy with hires in certain cities in Major League Soccer. We've got that to get into as well. Folks changing their addresses officially, and former coaches sticking up for those players with the changes of address. The Twos made a signing. Javier Armas is now in the fold for the season. We know that Club World Cup and Gold Cup will be on opposite coasts in 25. Morning, Alex. We've got a bit of an update on Sheikh Jassim apparently now wanting an apology after information was published, and he's saying, no, that's wrong. So we'll get into that. Busy day for Ben Jacobs, by the way. Must follow on the 280 character at Jacobs Ben when it comes to information overseas. Let's see. Opening kickoff, we know what that is. We have a Reading update, and we always know that traditionally, sadly, these days, that ain't good. It looks like the World Cup final is going to be in Dallas, Texas on the 4th of February. We will know the where, the when, and then the queue starts and trying to get tickets and all those kinds of things. Morning, Knicks. Glad that you are here on the day side. You mentioned that we went when we went night side back on Wednesday night, that sometimes the day gig kind of gets in the way. Glad you're here on a Friday to kind of wrap the week. Steven Gerrard has signed a new contract, even though he hasn't won since, I think, October. So good work if you can get it. And like I said, we'll take the tour and go over all the news today that is fit to print as we go. I wanted to start this morning with the opening kickoff. And traditionally, as you know, opening kickoff can go a bunch of different directions. And about 6 weeks ago, Troy Deeney got hired, first managing gig, and he lasted 29 days. And the reason that I bring this up, and if our friends from Beyond Goals are able to join us at the bottom of the hour with weather permitting and the real world getting in the way sometimes, I wanted to kind of ask about this as a part of our conversation. So Troy Deeney, morning, Tom, sacked after 29 days, 6 matches. He was criticized for publicly blasting the players after their last loss. Now, right now, for those of you that aren't, living and breathing by the tables in the lower divisions in England, Forest Green is having problems this year. They are in League Two, which is the Prem Champ, 4th division. They're the 4th level of the pyramid in England. Forest Green is right now in one of the 2 relegation spots to head back to the National League. And they are 7 points from safety. They have passed the halfway point of the season. They played 26 matches. They've only won 4. Averaging a goal a game scored, and they are giving up on average a little under 2 a match. They're doing tremendous things off the field. They've become noticed worldwide for their sustainability efforts and making sure that everything that is encased in the arena and the operation of the franchise is totally sustainable. Fantastic stuff and fantastic ideas there. So Deeney was picked up to be manager. And remember, this is his first gig. So he joined them as a player coach in the summer, and then he was promoted to manager about a month ago after the club's owner, Dale Vince, sacked the former Southampton assistant, David Horsman, who was also handed his first senior management role. Thursday, Deeney was handed a 4-game touchline ban by the FA for using language that was, quote, improper and or abusive and or insulting and or threatening. So I don't know how many sections of the flow chart we have here, but there are 4 options. And it could have been improper, could have been abusive, could have been insulting, could have been threatening, could have been a combination of all 4. Could have been 2, could have been 3, could have been all 4. Don't know. Sent off during his second game in charge. So this is literally stuff that happened like 3 weeks ago. He was written up by the FA for stuff that happened like 3 weeks ago during festive fixtures. Got a 4-game touchline ban. After that defeat, the last game in charge after their trip to Mansfield, postponed in midweek, he hit out at his players. This is from our friends at The Guardian. This is how they phrase it. Deeney said that he would rather watch Antiques Roadshow than his own side, than his own team. Lost 3 and drew 3 in his first 6 matches. He'd accused Forest Green's players of being inmates running the jail and said there were too many babies top to bottom. One player he went after for being late. One player who we remember from the penalties in the playoff promotion finals, Fankati Dabo. He said Fankati Dabo was not good enough for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. Deeney added, I just told him in front of everyone 6 months ago that kid had a kick to go into the Premier League. Now he won't get a game in the National League. He's faster than everybody on pure ability, but he gets ran past every game, never makes a tackle, and every time the ball comes to him, it looks like he kicks it with his shin pads. That's the reality of it. After the loss to Harrogate, Deeney said to the local radio, we haven't even hit rock bottom yet. That's the worry. Dale Vince, who bought Forest Green in 2010, said it was wrong for Deeney to talk to his players as he did. Vince said, I think it was a mistake. I don't think that's the way to coach a team of people and to bring a team of people together. Of the decision to relieve Deeney of his duties, the owner said these are decisions nobody likes to make, but we've acted this way to give Forest Green Rovers the best possible chance of improving results, climbing the league table. We wish Troy all the best for his future and thank you for his efforts. So it was 3. It was 3 sentences of saying, don't let the door hit you on the way out. So Troy Deeney didn't last very long in his initial gig, but the questions that are attached to all of this come to managerial style. And that was what I wanted to bring up as one of the questions this morning. When it comes to style and stylistics and managers and what you can say and what you can't, all those kinds of things. Was Troy Deeney out of line? Was Troy Deeney out of line? I know a lot of times we sit there and, we say that there are certain things that you're supposed to say, certain things you're not, these days especially. Or was this just a case of Deeney in his first gig just kind of going off the cuff and, hey, he live and learn kind of a thing? Morning, Abby. So that was an interesting thing. You get your first gig, and then 6 matches later, you're out the door. So that is the adventures of Troy Deeney. Troy Deeney was being honest in his own right. Was it too honest for his own good? So we'll see. Let's see. Who did I miss this morning? Morning, Hutch. Morning, Tom. Leadership on parade, yes. So, and so now Tom drops into the comments, Jose coming stateside. Now you're having me fish through rumors. You're having me fish through all of these things. All right, so I do have an update once again from our buddy Ben Jacobs. Suggestions: Jose Mourinho has already agreed to take the Al-Shabaab job are premature. He is a Saudi target. Al-Hilal tried last summer. Mourinho said he will likely manage in Saudi Arabia one day, but as of now, nothing is advanced, as some reports suggest. Now, Roma fans, after the sacking of Jose Mourinho, have put signs up Ghost Club Players Without Balls, honor to you, Jose Mourinho. So guess what direction the fans are leaning here? Jose Mourinho, by the way, has made 80 million pounds from just getting fired. Sorry, sacked. He got for the first time he got let go at Chelsea, he left with 18 million. Leaves Real Madrid about the same. Leaves Chelsea the second time. So Chelsea has paid Jose Mourinho over 26 million pounds the two times he's been fired. Manchester United almost paid him 20 million pounds. Spurs paid him 15, Roma paid him 3. 80 million just for getting sacked. 35, 40, let's see. 35, 43.3. 43 in 1963, 78. 81 million pounds. 6 gigs, 81 million pounds. Just for getting fired. So that's what Jose Mourinho is bringing to the table. But apparently this offer from Al Shabaab is on the table, according to Gianluca Di Marzio and his 1.8 million followers on the 280-character app. He has shown, according to Di Marzio, openness to the proposal. Remains to be seen whether both parties will agree on the financial terms and the duration of the deal. And as and as Hutch says, it'll only be for 3 years. Make it a 2.5-year deal. To Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, please. Michael, don't remind me of the quitter. Just remember, Al Shabaab or anyone that is going to sign Jose Mourinho to a contract, make sure it's a 3-year deal or less. Yeah, Hutch, what color is your parachute? For Jose, it is straight up golden, brother. Abby, the contracts with the high number amounts, if you're let go, are ridiculous. The same with NCAA football. You are absolutely correct. And yes, being the Florida State alum on this show, yes, Michael had to bring up the quitter. That he did get that in one firing in College Station. So you got managers who are all over the place and getting things. They's getting paid. They're definitely getting paid. To be fired is a great occupation. It's a great occupation. I mean, I don't think I'm wrong. Great to get hired. Even better, apparently, to be fired. We got our Reading update, and obviously, when we bring up Reading, it's never very good. But I've always come of the environment that we need to know these things. And as we are all followers of the game and how things are, like I said, we're chasing Jessica Charman now. The training camp is open in Charlotte. So whenever the busiest woman in show business can hang out with us for a little bit, we'll discuss this. We'll discuss what's going on in Charlotte. And it's also an important day in Charlotte as well. They are honoring the life of Anton Walks today. So it is crazy that it has been a year since we broke the news on the show. And heads up to all of you that watch and listen every single day and give us all the stories and all the breaking news as we chase it. But we handled the breaking news this time last year with Anton Walks. It's not a fun show. But in Charlotte today, they are going to be honoring Anton. And so obviously keep Charlotte in your thoughts, Anton in your thoughts, and obviously everybody here attached to Atlanta United in your thoughts today because it's the 1-year anniversary of Anton's tragic passing. Back to Reading, since I went down that road, and of course I know, the show has tangents. What a shock. New update from Ben Fisher at The Guardian about everything that they are going through when it comes to what they can and can't do right now and what they're doing and what they're not doing to try to function on a daily basis. They are now having to change training plans to avoid paying for undersoil heating, implemented a number of drastic cost-cutting measures, including 19 redundancies, and they owe about £4 million to suppliers. Staff and former employees talk of firefighting on a daily basis. EFL has called for Dai Young to fund or sell the club after displaying a clear disregard for his duties. The EFL, to me, seems about as toothless as the NCAA. You better do this or we're going to fine you. We're fining you. You didn't do it. We're fining you again. We're fining you more. Has any of this money ever showed up? I'd love to know that. I fear I know what the answer is. We're fining you. It's like it reminds me of the 30 for 30 involving Southern Methodist University, Pony Excess, one of the best 30 for 30s that the four-letter ever put together. It's like, hey, we're warning you. Don't do it. And you keep doing it. Hey, don't do it. We're serious. When's the EFL going to get serious? That's my biggest question. Reading trained on the one practice pitch with undersoil heating on Thursday, and a U21 match was played on the surface Monday, but the first team staff have been encouraged to minimize usage. There have been instances in recent weeks when the manager, Ruben Celis, has been asked to adjust training schedules or use the gym to save on the cost of undersoil heating, which is turned on before sessions and switched off immediately after. First team can train on other pitches. Freezing temperatures of late have led them to train later once those have thawed. Reading said the payments for the undersoil heating were taken automatically upon use and that it had been general practice for a while to activate it only when essential. Acknowledged the club's financial troubles meant it was imperative they were savvy with how much they used it. On occasions at the Bearwood training base, 5-year-old facility, spent £50 million on it. Staff have been wearing coats and jackets inside the main first team building because the upstairs heating doesn't work. The club said a maintenance problem was unresolved, but some staff believe the lack of heating is to keep costs down. Imagine working in a building where they keep the heat off in the winter. The club has made 19 redundancies, including in the new year the assistant manager and the head of player development. Most roles have gone in the academy, which is at risk of losing its Category 1 status. More first-team staff jobs understood to be in danger. The club insisted no further roles had been identified as risk. The data company Stats Perform, which provides Opta data, has frozen the account with the club, and the catering firm Levy Restaurants, we know them, they pulled out of the training ground but remain at the stadium. Medical staff are sourcing meals for the players. When Dai Young acquired control of the championship with the club with his sister Daishu Lee in 2017, they were thought to have invested £250 million in an attempt to reach the Premier League. Now they're taking measures to save pennies. Post-match food provided at the Women's FA Cup tie at home to Wolves last Sunday has led to illnesses among both sets of players, forced Wolves to postpone a game against West Brom because a number of their squad were affected. So the possibility of serving bad food is there. November, the EFL pushed for Dye to be disqualified as an owner after a breach. And this independent panel, the independent panel felt such an action would not solve Reading's problems. Then the EFL needs to put it in receivership. They need to take over. We've seen it before. In this part of the country, in this part of the world, if there's a team that is really lacking in ownership, the league takes it over. The league should take it over in this case. But the independent panel said it's too harsh. The independent panel is a crock. Commission instead fined him $20,000 for failing to adhere to meet to the financial demands of depositing 125% of the monthly wage bill into a holding account. A suspended £50,000 fine activated last Friday after he again failed to meet the demands. He's not thought to have paid either of the charges. Color me shocked. 16 points deducted since November 2021. Spent much of the last 2 years under transfer embargoes owing to their failure to pay their version of the IRS, His Majesty's royalties and customs on time. You see the letters HMRC, that's not a good look. We talked about the chief executive sanctioning sales of 2 defenders to Luton Town. Coach didn't know until the deals were done. One player is stuck on 14 league starts. If he makes another, he gets a $2,000, £2,000 a month pay raise. Before Christmas, the club terminated the contract of another player who'd signed a 4-year deal after arriving from Liverpool, saving the club about $200,000. 3 or 4 parties interested in purchasing the club, but they have non-disclosure agreements. And there are concerns within the club that buyers could run a mile because of the bleak financial picture. Reading and Wigan, 2 teams in the bottom, they play each other tomorrow. Overnight stays have largely been scrapped. You bus in, you bus home. It's like minor league baseball. One staff member said, "We cannot move on as a club unless we get new owners." Football Supporters Association is encouraging clubs to show solidarity by having a minute's applause in the 16th minute. And that was the minute when last week Reading's fans invaded the pitch against Port Vale and caused the match to be postponed. One club has already said they're going to do it. Reading could face a suspended points deduction as a sanction for the invasion. Because remember when Blackpool was in the Premier League back in 2015 and fans smuggled chickens into the stadium and released the chickens on the pitch? You had that too. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad right now at Reading, and it's a shame. So yeah, we're keeping an eye on those kinds of things. And as kind of discussing how things are with owners, ownership, coaches behavior, we get to catch up with our mogul in training. The mogul in training, and if you haven't been paying attention, there's some serious signings going on. I don't know if this gentleman coming up is at liberty to discuss said signings. We will see if he can. It's been released. Information has been released about folks. There's a lot of folks being brought to a roster. Time for catching up with the mogul in training. It's the bottom of the hour. Cap, what is up?
Good morning.
All right, so full disclosure, last time we talked, I had promised that I was sending you, if I could find it here. Yeah. This is on the way to the office. So full disclosure.
Love it. Checking the mail every day, John.
It is on the way. So, and there's also a bonus element in there as well. It's going to be one of those rectangular containers from the U.S. Postal Service. Should be there in the next little bit. I started the show this morning with the conversation about Troy Deeney. And he was hired in his first, he was a player coach for a club, the Forest Green Rovers, and they're in League Two right now in the 4th level of the pyramid in England. He got promoted he was a player coach. They sacked their manager. He got promoted. And his promotion to head coach lasted all of 6 games. And the reason that he got sacked was because he publicly blasted players. He got a 4-game ban for saying for language that was improper and or abusive and or insulting and or threatening. So it could have been 1, it could have been all 4. We don't know. But he decided publicly to say that he would rather watch Antiques Roadshow than his own side that he was managing. And he said that there were too many babies top to bottom. Inmates were running the jail. He's got players. He said, I told him everyone that the kid had a kick to go to the Prem. He won't get a game now in the National League. He gets run by. And literally, he just let him have it with any barrel known to mankind. Did you ever have a coach or a manager that was that abrupt in their assessments of you or your teammates? And how did you guys handle that kind of stuff?
Wow.
Was anybody ever that mad at any team that you were on?
I never had a coach, thankfully, like that I could compare to. That's crazy. I hadn't read those comments. I did see that he got fired pretty quickly, but I didn't know the reason why. That's something. Blasting your own team. It's a way to go. One way to do things. I will say that not every good player makes a good coach.
Yeah.
Right? Just because you can play the game well does not mean that you know how to communicate it and teach others and can lead others in a way that they can have success and learn from you. And I think that was a little bit of like Jurgen Klinsmann. Like he was a phenomenal player, obviously, and he was a good leader in that. Like I think guys, for the most part, enjoyed him personally. And he did a lot as far as like bringing stuff around the national team and different speakers and all this stuff, and he brought in some different ideas and all that. But when it came down to actually on the field, teaching and tactics, he struggled to get it from here to there. And for him, it was just all natural and instinctive, and I couldn't understand why for everyone else it wasn't. So thankfully I wasn't ever coached by a Troy Deeney or anybody like him, but yeah, it doesn't always translate.
Well, and the reason that I bring it up is because with today's athlete that you and Greg are mentoring, I would think that there are some athletes that are, student athletes still, that they would sit there and look at that conversation. And if someone's going to turn the hairdryer on, they sit there and go, yeah, dude, whatever. And they'll brush it off. But then I would think that there are just as many who would sit there and really take it to heart too much. And in your mentoring, I didn't know if you had athletes that, when it comes to, I don't know, just general anger and displeasure and things like that, how they like to be treated. And I know that each mentee is different. I didn't know if they just get tired of people yelling at them and things like that and just want a straight message.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a particular way in general. I think that's part of being a good leader, is understanding the differences between what motivates each person, right? And you can't just call out everyone and do what Troy did, and expect that it's going to resonate with everyone. It might resonate with a couple guys and a few guys, and that's how to motivate them. But yeah, in general, as a whole, like, everyone responds differently, and so that's part of being a leader, and so that's why it didn't obviously work out there. No, I mean, I think that everyone responds differently. It's understanding what responds to you. How do you let the coach know, or
I mean, can you go to your coach and sit there and go like, and I mean, you're not going to say dude, but
no.
Coach, I don't appreciate the way that you're giving the message. Can you do that without risking your place in a roster these days?
Probably not at a higher level, but I think that you can make it known when you are receiving the response and the motivation that you do enjoy, right? If you go out of your way to say, hey, that's awesome, that's great feedback, or that's really motivating, coach, or hey, or after the fact, like, hey, that really helped me, that type of thing, right? Not so much, hey, that doesn't work for me, but hey, this does work for me really well, or hey, that did work for me. That leaves an impression as well.
And I would think that feedback is important between coach and player and mentor and mentee. When it comes to your mentees and them opening up to you, is there that initial stage of them still kind of shy because ish, I'm talking to Michael Parkhurst here, and there's still the star factor? How do you break through that star factor and go, look, I'm just here to help you out? Take the Michael Parkhurst part out of it, and the fact that you might have seen me with Atlanta United or in my career or what have you. Take the Michael Parkhurst part out of it. I'm just a mentor. How hard is it to push through that initial activity?
Sometimes a little bit, but sometimes honestly, they know that we played, Greg and I, but they don't know much about it, so it's not a big deal at all.
What? They don't know? They don't know Michael Parkhurst and Greg Garza?
Hey, it's all about who's playing now, the present, John. So no, but I think that's you try and be engaging, right, and get at their level for a little bit and crack a joke and talk about things outside of soccer for a little bit and just make it a human conversation first. I think that's important. But yeah, to answer Alex's question, yeah, I think that a captain can definitely help a coach with understanding how to get through to people if it's not working.
When you have other conversations outside of soccer, I mean, do you have intel going in about a particular mentee? Hey, they like this, and this, or is it just, asking the question, hey, what kind of music do you like? What kind of movies do you like? How do you break through the non-soccer conversations and get into those topics?
Yeah, talk about school, talk about things outside of soccer that they like to do, because that's one of the important things actually that we get to at some point, is what else besides soccer do you like? What else do you enjoy doing? Right? What do you do outside of soccer and outside of school? Because we really encourage our mentees to do things and find things that they enjoy doing, particularly these things that they enjoy doing are important when things aren't going well on the soccer field, right?
Yeah.
You get away from the game a little bit, you take your mind off of it, you go enjoy yourself doing something else, and then you go back to soccer, and hopefully you've forgotten about whatever's been bothering you, or you've got a renewed love for it or something like that. So really talking about just different activities and hobbies that they like.
So what was it for you, and what is it for you other than hitting the ball 280 down the middle off the tee? I mean, so when you were a mentee's age, what other stuff did you do to take your mind off of soccer when you had that 35 seconds when you weren't doing soccer?
Yeah, well, when I was some of their kids' age, I was playing other sports. And I was, this time of year, I was playing basketball and doing things indoors. And I was playing indoor soccer as well, but was playing other sports for sure, where I know a lot of kids these days aren't. But, outside of that, honestly, I struggled a little bit too, where I didn't play an instrument. I didn't and really enjoy reading back then. We didn't have video games at the house. I just
What?
Mm-mm.
No video games at the house? No Mattel and television? No Odyssey 3?
We had a Game Boy for road trips.
Okay.
An old school Game Boy. But yeah, no video games.
Wow. I mean, I guess that was part of the encouragement to make sure that you were doing things that kept you active, I would guess, yeah?
I guess so, yeah.
No video games for you. Go outside and play, or go inside and play.
Exactly.
When you were in high school, what classes did you like and what classes did you hate?
Yeah, and this is a big one that I talk to because a lot of the kids are around my kids' age. So I hear from my kids all the time. And so, there's a lot of things these kids are going through the same thing. I asked a kid yesterday, 2 days ago, maybe, what was his favorite class? And he said, well, I really like science, but I don't really like the work, but I really like my seat and who I sit next to and who's in that class. And that's just something that I completely see my son saying all the time. So it's just, like that fun connection of like, yeah, I get it, man. That's important. But anyways, getting back to classes, I think so much of school is dependent on your teacher.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I really did not like English class for a long time. And then I had a phenomenal teacher my junior year of high school. And I actually really liked English class that year. She really taught me how to write properly and do essays and things. And I found out I kind of enjoyed writing when she broke it down, and was really good to work with. And same thing with science. Like there's some years where I really didn't like science, especially as I got older. It was like the one class at Wake Forest where I struggled mightily, was science. And I forget even what class it was. But But I did have a teacher in, I think it was ninth grade, who was so awesome. He was just the best, most entertaining teacher, and he just made it fun. And so, I think so much of it is more on the teacher than it is actually the subject.
Yeah, I mean, I had physics when I was in high school, and I was like I was in the brainiac clique in high school, and I was like the low end of the scale. I was the dumbest of the brains that was there. And so I would still take the advanced classes, but I'd be getting D's and F's, and not really care. And I swear to God, my physics teacher in high school, she taught Sir Isaac Newton herself. I will swear up and down that she taught Sir Isaac Newton. She was that old. And literally it was F's on the tests, A's in the lab, get the C and get the blank out of there. I mean, that was what it was for me in these classes. You mentioned English. Did you ever think of writing a book about your mentoring and tips and things?
I thought about writing a book after we won the championship, and when I look back, I'm like, I should have. I haven't thought about one about the mentoring actually, but perhaps because I did some writing for ESPN like early in my career, a long time ago, and I enjoy writing. So I'm not sure. To answer Abby's question, history was my major, and I guess I've never said that on here, but I don't really enjoy when people ask me what I majored in at Wake, because I say history, and I'm like, don't ask me anything about history. Don't ask me anything about history. After my sophomore season at Wake, I almost went pro, and then I decided I'd stay another year. And so I went to the guidance counselor, and I said, okay, I'm going to leave a year from now, but I still want to graduate from Wake Forest. What do I need to major in? And she looked at me, she said, you've got one option, and it's history.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, are you sure that's my only option? And some history I didn't mind, but we had a really nice teacher at Wake who loved the soccer team, and she didn't teach the most entertaining parts of history. So, but I took a few of her classes. So yeah, history anyways.
Well, and I mean, I get that completely. European history bored the ever-loving crap out of me. It's like, all right, here's Machiavelli, read it. No. Here's European history, take it. Okay, I know I have to. But I got a 3 on the AP in high school and clept out of it in college, and I was in great shape. I didn't have to touch history at all. To your point, I mean, folks are sitting there saying, write the book, man. They want you to write. They would listen to an audiobook. Dell says he would listen to a Michael Parkhurst audiobook when it comes to whatever you want to talk about. I honestly, with anniversaries and things, just write the Atlanta United book, man.
I know. I've thought about it. Adele, I would include one whole chapter for Rhode Island FC just for you.
See?
And I had thought about of like, going back and like talking to guys about different things they remember and experiences and that type of thing. But maybe someday.
Okay, we'll get into Rhode Island FC because there are things to talk about there as well. Apparently, Brad says he's at camp this morning, telling reporters had no intentions of retiring. Welcomes the competition at the keeper position in 2024. I think if Brad has his way, obviously he's going to consult with his family every single year. But Brad, the polar bear, is going to compete until he's 117 years old if he has the chance to.
Totally. And I don't blame him. He had a guaranteed contract for this year, so it'll be interesting after this year because I think that his contract is up.
Yeah, he's in the options, I think.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after this year, but I fully expect him to be back this year as well. Guaranteed contract and keep playing, and absolutely.
All right, so let's drift into the Rhode Island FC portion of the program, because, sir, as our resident mogul in training, and we get to ask you these questions. Oh, you gonna put the gear on? Up. Oh, okay. Yes, thank you for doing that. Well, you could have just you didn't have to mute. You didn't have to mute. We know what you were doing. I appreciate you being nice about it, but look, I've sneezed on the air. I
Yeah, you
have.
can't control that.
It's like, hey, whatever happens, happens. But thank you for the courtesy while you're battling the cold temperatures. Is it snowing up there, by the way?
It is first snow day from school today for the kids. I swear they manifested this thing last night. They came home from school yesterday, and the first thing we're gonna have a snow day tomorrow. I'm like, what? We're gonna get like an inch, guys. Stop. They're like, I'm not doing my homework. We're gonna have a snow day tomorrow. I'm sure of it. I'm like, guys, stop. Sure enough, 6:15 got the text from school. No school today.
In my day, we walked uphill in the snow both ways to get to school, and you kids are sitting there and wishing it over after dinner last night.
Unbelievable.
You look on the 280 character app, and there is a signing by Rhode Island FC that is some heavy duty stuff, man. How did you and your organization get Albert Diqua to be a part of the growth of the franchise? That's a good haul, man. Nicely done.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a big signing. Big signing. And Kano liked Albert. I mean, before he blew up, we tried to, we knew he was out of contract. We tried to sign him midway through the year last year to be our first signing. And Kano has a good relationship with Albert, and so they know each other. And Kano knows his agent as well. So there's good relationships there. And we really tried to get him early on. And then, every week we see him scoring more goals and more goals. And we're like, oh God, no. We see the price tag just going up and up and up and up. But, he was up front and saying that he wanted to try and go to Europe. So, I think he spent the offseason trying to see if that would work. And we had kept tabs on him and kept conversations going. And like last week, things came together quick. Like last week, it was like, okay, we're re-engaging with USL teams. And at that point, he had a couple offers from a couple different teams. And, we were able to come together. And to be honest, we didn't have the highest total number. But, we put together a really good package for him. And I think that he was sold on what we're doing up there and his relationship with Kano and the relationships with the agent. So, the whole team did a really good job of going out there and making sure that we got him, because he was our target for a really long time, and just glad that we were able to get him.
When you're piecing something together like this, you mentioned all of the other elements that are attached to it, because you can sit there and say, yet we can't meet your price point, but how creative did the front office have to be in sitting there and saying, okay, well, we can go here when it comes to financials, but then we can sit there and go intangible, and then other things? How creative a deal was this?
Yeah, you try and find ways, right, of what can we do without really breaking the bank. And we know
name a suite after you at the stadium when it's built.
Right. And we know that, hey, if you want to go after the MVP, you got to be prepared to pay. Right. He's not going to come cheap. So it's not like we got him on a steal, right? We give him a very good contract. But he's deserving of it as well, right? If I was the MVP, I'd be trying to get every cent that I could and everything. So, I think that we tried to get creative with, okay, what can some sponsors help out with? What can we do as far as length of contract and guaranteed years? Where can we help them out with an apartment? What can we do off the field to help out? We include some other things that can help him. And I don't know if these are public or not. I can say it. Yeah, I think we'll help him as far as life after soccer in the U.S. if he wants to stay.
Well, we could do this. we give you the breaking news sounder if you want to do that kind of stuff.
We'll help him in the green card process. And we've got very good connections within Rhode Island that we felt like we can give him a real. We'll get it done. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know how creatively creative you have to be in a situation like this. Obviously, the contract, my guess is you're giving him outs for, if a club in Europe comes knocking on the door, if you meet our transfer fee, these kinds of things, but we'll do you a solid, these kinds
Yeah,
of those. I would anticipate that this is all over the place. This sounds like about as three-dimensional a contract as you have to put together if you're bringing in somebody like Albert Dequa.
for sure. Yep. And there's a release clause in there as well in case somebody comes knocking. And we probably didn't even need to put it in there. It's more for his well-being in the mind, because we want to be a club that if teams come knocking and it's a better opportunity for them, that we, for the most part, obviously we have to look out for ourselves and do things responsibly, but we want our players to use us as a stepping stone to get somewhere else. And that's that for a lot of people within the organization, Kano included, right? We don't want this to be Kano's only step as a head coach. Like, we want him to do bigger and better things sometime in the future. That's not to say we hope that happens in the next year or two. But we want players and people with those aspirations, because that's what's going to push us in the near term.
How much of your time as a player are you using as a reference point now as an executive about how to handle situations, how to handle athletes, how to make sure that they're taken care of? How much empirical evidence are you pulling from your career to move forward as a part of the put things together at Rhode Island?
Yeah, I think that's where I bring some value. Helping out in that regard of what's important to players, what are they going through, right? And even in this process of going to a new organization and a new team, things to think about. And but we put together a really, really good staff, and we paid good money for a good staff, because we knew that was so important, especially in this first year or two where there's a lot in flux, right? We're at a temporary training ground with a temporary stadium, and just even this week we had planned to train indoors at the Bryant University indoor facility, but we didn't get the time that we thought we would, and it was like, okay, how do we pivot here? They were able to get an indoor facility not too far away for the guys to train at, so it's like little things like that just pop up and are important. And you want the guys to feel like, hey, this is not amateur, right? This is professional. And that's not to mean there aren't going to be a couple S shows throughout the way. But the amount that we can eliminate those is important.
There's nothing. Yeah, you know that that you're going to have your ish shows. Those will happen and growing. But you know what? This is your book. If you want to do the audio book on Atlanta United, if you want to do a book on Atlanta United, that'd be fantastic. And I know with anniversaries and 0 years and roundups, that folks would love to see the stories. And I know that folks would love to get you and Greg's advice on mentoring and have that in book form or whatever form. The building of a franchise through the first year of Rhode Island FC, put that together in a book and have it ready for the beginning of next season, so folks can know all the behind the scenes stuff that may or may not have been shown in video form on all of your social media platforms. Do the full book about year one of building a franchise.
Yeah, people wouldn't believe some of this stuff.
And that's why I'm saying what you do is you piece this together, and people would sit there and go, really? And you go, yeah, this is what we've had to go through to make sure that all of this came to pass.
Yeah, I think I have to wait another year or two, make sure this stadium gets built on time and done properly and all that.
Well, then you start. There's nothing wrong with starting to write it now.
That's true. That's true.
And it's I would buy that book, because I'm fascinated by growth. I'm fascinated by how things start, and like I said, with what's going on with Rhode Island, and now that I think about it, the fact that you and Greg have started something that is taking off to where it is. I mean, when you guys had your first conversations, I'm sure that world domination was a part of the discussion of when it came to mentoring. But does it even surprise you at times how you guys have been able to grow incrementally and have the successes that you guys have had in the year plus that you've been at this?
Yes and no. I mean, I think that we still have conversations about growth, and I actually have got 2 meetings back to back here starting at 10, um, with Beyond Goals about growth and how do we grow it and plans and stuff, because I think that, that there's a lot of room for growth, not just for Greg and I, but just in within the sport and within the country, and all these academies that are out there, and getting other former players involved. And there's opportunity out there. And I think that there's a desire from guys that pass on knowledge and be part of the organizations, in just a small way. So we'll see.
Okay. Well,
But, as far as, I think somebody asked something about like Atlanta's, going through that and then building Rhode Island. And one of the things I learned for sure in Rhode Island from Atlanta, was you have to have an exciting team from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right. That 2017 team was so exciting on the field, right? We could score at any moment.
Yeah.
Like we win the ball 30 yards from our own goal, and Tito's got a little bit of space, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, smokes, something might happen here. Right. And that excitement is so important for the fan base. It's so important for the crowd, for them to be into it and to feel like, oh shoot, we might score goals. We might score a goal right here. And that all the time. So, that was definitely part of why we thought, okay, let's go out and get Dikwa. Because we've got JJ Williams as well. And, he's a proven goal scorer in the league. But now that we've got both of them, we feel really comfortable about our ability to score some goals.
You got JJ at power forward and Dikwa at your shooting guard position. So now Michael Valverde says you're Ryan Reynolds. Welcome to the Frosty North. Since you've got that 10 o'clock, thanks for hopping on a couple minutes early. We will let you go. What's the latest going on? You guys just rolling on and kicking butt?
That's it. Greg's super busy doing some work with MLS right now, and some diversity and inclusion conversations here leading up to the season. So he's busy with that. And so, yeah, we're keeping the show running, getting kids prepared for high school season coming up. We're speaking to some schools as seasons kick off. So it's always good this time of year to get those conversations in and get them prepared.
At MF Parkhurst at BG Mentoring, go to your 10 o'clock.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Thanks. That's Cap. It's good to have Michael on. And he's got like 10 o'clock meetings. Yeah, Abby. So he was a history major at Wake Forest. And obviously we'll post the Parkhurst interview later on today. And so he was a history major at Wake Forest, and he was leaving a year early. And he needed consultation as to what degree he should take. And they said, okay, you want to do that here at Wake Forest, and you're trying to leave and become a professional and go to history. And he's not a big history guy. So he's got a history, and that's why he admitted that's why he doesn't necessarily talk about it, because he's a history major, and just don't ask him about like European history and things like that. So yeah, so that was yeah, we need to give him topics now. Yeah, when he comes back in, Hutch, we need to talk about Shay's Rebellion, John Brown's Raid, those kinds of things. We'll see when Cap comes on in a couple of weeks. We'll give him a history test in a couple of weeks. But no, I would legitimately buy if Michael wrote a book coming up, like off of an anniversary, like a 0 year or 5 years or what have you. I mean, shoot. Write it when you write it. Folks will always be interested in those kinds of things. If he wrote a book about Atlanta United, building that franchise, and Hutch, to your point, compare, contrast building Rhode Island FC to what's going on with Atlanta United. I think that'd be kind of cool. I think that'd be a great juxtaposition. You sit there and you have the build of Atlanta United, put and then on one column, and then you have the build of Rhode Island FC in another column, and you see where there's compare, contrast. And Michael being a part of it. And, hey, if he did a podcast about it, dig that too. So, yeah, so that's Mike. Cap was a history major at Wake Forest. So we got that this morning. Got to talk about the signing of Albert Dikwa, which is big. And so Dikwa signs, JJ Williams up top, and Rhode Island FC. I think that if you ask Dell and Harry what they think of if you asked Harry, Ram, and Dell about Rhode Island FC, it would be interesting to see what they think Rhode Island FC is going to be like in the Eastern Division in 2024. I think it's going to be fun. Yeah, I mean, Dell telling player stories, sharing their personalities for team media. And yeah, so Alex says the Parky's got young kids and 2 startups. Y'all want them to sign up to write a book? Yes. It's all about taking the time, even if it's a book about mentoring, or if it's an audio book, or if it's a podcast. All you're doing is talking. Harry and Ram are the same. Okay, cool. I see. I'm like, all this confusion. All right, so Harry, Ram, you're the same. I may just call you Harry and Ram, just as all at once. But I mean, legitimately, you ask all of our USL watchers and listeners what they think. I think Rhode Island's going to be a handful in year one. I think they're going to be an absolute handful in the Eastern Conference in year one. And then when the season starts, we'll bring in Kaylor Hodges and our friends from the USL show, and we'll see if they agree with what's going on there. A couple of housekeeping notes. Thanks to our friends at Sporting Club Jacks. Sporting Club Jacks and our buddy Steve Livingston gave us a scarf to add to the office. And so major props to our friends at Sporting Club Jacks as they continue to build USL Championship. And I've got to figure out if I need to swap spaces. Like if the new scarves come in, I need to put them behind me as opposed to right next to me. This was a temporary location. But thanks to Steve Livingston and our friends at Sporting Club Jacks for the care package. And obviously, when things continue to grow down there in Jacksonville with their launch in USL, we'll keep an eye on them. Chasing some interviews. If you missed it yesterday, the new head coach at Apotheos FC caught up with Jarrett and myself. And it was good to catch up with Jonathan Mercado and find out what he thinks about what's going on at Apotheos in year one in the NPSL. That season's coming up before we know it, so we'll keep an eye on all of that. And if you have not signed up yet, sign up for the Atlanta Soccer Tonight, the AST fundraiser to help out the mini pitch on the Southern Crescent. So if you do not follow Jason on social media, and if you Atlanta Soccer Tonight, any of those ways that you follow Jason, he's got the way to be a part of things. Looking forward to the turnout there and seeing everybody help out mini pitches and continuing to grow the game down the Southern Crescent. So sign up. You can sign up a team. You can sign up individuals. Abby, catch up with Bart and see if because Bart couldn't go. Bart can't go, but he was like one player away from a team. So Abby, check with Bart, see if the 3 members from Bart's team want to pair up and end up with a 4th. So that way you guys can have a team. It's Thursday night at Topgolf. Thursday night at Topgolf in Northwest Atlanta. So we'll see. Yeah, so catch up with Bart and see if Bart's friends still want to do it, and I know you want to do it too, so maybe you guys can get a foursome together, and it'll be great to see everybody as we continue to grow the game in the Southern Crescent. Yes, Tim Tebow and Fred Taylor involved in the Jacksonville ownership group here at Sporting Club Jack, Steve Livingston, and all of that group. So, oh yeah, and if I put the, I don't know if I put the Sporting Club Jack scarf next to the Armada scarf, if that's like matter and antimatter, there might be an explosion in the back of the studio. I don't know if I can put the 2 together like that. All right, so it looks like there is a story out of Kansas City, and let's see if it has gone down the way that it is being presented here. Yes. All right, so it has in fact happened, and thanks as always to all the Eagle Eyes, contributor Niall, and everybody else giving us the heads up. We'll hit it. Sporting Kansas City has rescinded the contract of Gavin Wilkinson. That is the wording that they have used. 5 minutes ago, principal owner Michael Illig has released a statement, and I'll read it in its entirety. We want to share with the sporting Kansas City community that we have mutually agreed with Gavin Wilkinson to release him from his recently announced role with our club. In making this difficult decision, we want to first acknowledge the passion of our fans, our community of supporters, our partners, and our stakeholders. Together, they comprise our deeply valued sporting family. Our action today demonstrates our long-standing, unequivocal respect for their voices and the belief we are all stronger when we listen to one another. We ran a diligent and exhaustive process to identify our new sporting director. It was grounded in the deeply held principles and standards we've adhered to since the day we acquired the team. That said, the impassioned response from our fans reinforced to us a fundamental philosophy that has driven us since day one: to honor and protect our valued relationships. It is in that spirit that we take this action today, reflective of our abiding appreciation for our unrivaled SKC fans and our Kansas City community. That is 6 minutes ago from principal owner Michael Illig at Sporting Kansas City. Sporting Kansas City has rescinded the contract of Gavin Wilkinson and rescinded the hire. Eight days. So that is it for Gavin Wilkinson in Kansas City. That had given itself its own hashtag, by the way. The fans in Kansas City had gotten so angry over this hire that they had literally started their own hashtag about Gavin Wilkinson. Massive pressure from the fans 8 days after the hiring. So that's what you're looking at. Fans voicing their displeasure the entire time. Go back to the Daniel Sperry article, provided that it'll let me sign in, so we'll see. But yeah, when this went down, this did not go down well. Did not go down well. And 8 days later, Gavin Wilkinson's contract has been rescinded. And he's no longer the chief soccer officer. So that's the latest out of Kansas City. The article that Daniel Sperry wrote 2 days ago said it continued to elicit the ire of fans and supporters. Soccer credentials strong, fired as the Timbers GM and president in October 2022. We went over Gavin Wilkinson when we went into our deep dive of the Yates Report. During the introductory news conference with Sporting last Thursday, he denied the allegation detailed in the Yates Report that he had advocated on Riley's behalf, allegedly telling Western New York Flash VP Aaron Lyons that Paul Riley was, quote, put in a bad position by the player. Wilkinson called such allegations hearsay, but said, quote, he should have done more to prevent the future hiring and, quote, should have stood up and said more instead of following legal advice. Starting last Thursday evening, the introductory news conference with Wilkinson, the two largest fan organizations for Sporting, the Cauldron and South Stand, circulated separate statements detailing their concerns. Both groups said they'd brought those concerns to the front office of Sporting Kansas City. So the Cauldron came out with basically a 5-paragraph statement, and South Stand came up with one that was a couple of sentences. One subgroup under the umbrella of the Cauldron, the ladies of SKC, had asked outright for Sporting to rescind the hiring of Wilkinson altogether. Ladies of SKC had their own statement. Sporting KC President CEO Jake Reed didn't comment directly on the backlash during a brief phone call with the Star last week, or earlier this week, but did say the team hopes to get Wilkinson in front of fans sooner rather than later. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. Reed said, I think our brand at the time, Tuesday, I think our brand has always been to be transparent and put ourselves out front. We don't intend to do anything different around that. Pressed for a timetable. It was supposed to be at the latest late February, early March. So they won't have to worry about that. Gavin Wilkinson, rescinded at Sporting Kansas City. So busy morning in Kansas City. Gavin Wilkinson's out the door. Now they've got to figure out what they want to do to repair any will that was lost in all of this. And we'll see what happens as they continue to try to figure out what they want to do in this situation. But yeah, Gavin Wilkinson is out at Sporting Kansas City. So, yes, four card. It is a Friday. And Harry says, wasn't that diligent and exhaustive process if they hired him in the first place? Yeah, it wasn't that diligent. Yeah, and exhaustive if they hired him in the first place. Alex, I mean, right now is always the second best time to do the right thing if you didn't do it yesterday. But talk about stepping on a rake that you put right in front of yourself. So, yeah, Sporting Kansas City fans for the win. Ropes, yep. Ropes, Sporting admitted they made a whoopsie. So, and this is one of the things that I will always appreciate with everybody here in the Twitch pitch is that you guys are as lightning as it comes when it comes to bringing stories to the fore. And I always appreciate that because this being the morning show that it is, yeah, we like to have fun. Yeah, we do like to discuss things and we like to kind of go off the rails and have great guests and things like that. But at its core, it's the news. And looking at all the topics of the day, and when something like this happens, you guys are right on top of it, and we can dive right into it. So tip of the hat from me always to you guys for keeping an eye on things as we go, because I did have on my list the Matt Evans story from KMBC about Gavin Wilkinson, and Sporting Kansas City beat us all to it. So that's where we are. Couple of other updates on just dates and things. It looks like She Believes Cup final is going to be April the 9th in Columbus. That news kind of trickled out yesterday with the semis here in Atlanta on the weekend before on the 5th. Brian McKay said yesterday it looks like Columbus and the Death Star is going to be the home for the She Believes final on April the 9th. Looks like the World Cup final is going to be in Dallas at Jarrah World, in front of probably more than 100,000 in the building, more outside, big screens. You know that Jarrah World is probably going to have a good 110,000 and a lot of other folks in the parking lots, and it'll be out of control, no real surprise. February 4th is a date that we all need to kind of keep an eye on. February 4th is the date where all of the matches for World Cup 26 will be announced. We'll know venues, we'll know places, we'll know where we're going. We'll know all of that stuff going forward. And we will probably be in Dallas for the final as we kind of look at our as we look at our calendar a year and a half from now. But the studio in Dallas is probably going to get some work. So we'll let you know what's going on there. But February 4th, keep those in mind. We'll go over all of that when they make the announcement, and we'll walk through it that day and discuss what is going on. I guess I should write it down on the calendar in case we have to do something live on a Sunday. Wow. Okay. So on a Sunday afternoon, or some point on a Sunday before our high school schedule, World Cup 26 venue announce. All right, we might have to do a special on Sunday the 4th. So, and there's also talk, as Abby mentions, that it looks like the media hub might be in Dallas as well. So we'll see. But there's discussion that the media hub might be in Dallas because that's where the World Cup final is. For those of you who have ever been to Jerry World, I mean, you look at Google Maps. So let's go ahead and here in Atlanta, look, we've got the hub for VAR here that's already being used. And so you take the World Congress Center and you turn it into the mega location that it's always been in the past for big ticket items where all the media seem to go. And I mean, hey, look, VAR is already there. So it would make a whole lot of sense to me to have the hub here for the media, even if the final is, someplace else. All right, so AT&T Stadium in and of itself, you've got Choctaw Stadium down the street, you've got Globe Life down the street. So that might be one of just to let you know, we do have a studio available to us in Dallas, and so we will find out what we're staring at in 2026 when it comes to uh, being there. But you've got a couple of stadia nearby to do live shots and what have you, and I mean restaurants and things, but there really doesn't seem to be a whole lot of there's like parking lots and things. But if you're looking for actual venues to house a media center per se, might be Choctaw, might be Globe Life, something like that. If you want to do something like that, and that's like the next block down or a couple of blocks over, but you don't have the wiring in place, and it would be something that you'd have to do on the hop. That's why I think that Atlanta would make more sense for a media hub as opposed to Dallas. Yeah, and the new Hilton Hotel. By the way, that new hotel, to get into that hotel, it's like $230 get in. I'll go spend my money someplace else that's on the MARTA line. I mean, I got plenty of other hotels that I can spend my time at, but $230 just to get into Signia? That's pretty steep. Yeah, it's right there at the end of the other end of the Home Depot backyard, but 230 get in for that place. That's a bit much, but you know that is going to be reserved come World Cup and Copa America and all those things. That is going to be a requested required hotel for a lot of folks. And yeah, four card. I know Dallas is more central. It's also larger. I mean, the semis, though, from what we're hearing, the semifinals are New York and LA, and the final's going to be in Dallas. I get it. I mean, SoFi's back in business, and especially if someone was going to sit there and say, "Well, Mr. Kroenke, sir, we could do it at the Rose Bowl and have 100,000 people there, or we could have it in your venue, and you could make your mind up." But you kind of figured that it was just because who's going to pay for it, all these kinds of things. You know that when somebody says no and somebody says yes, that's the beginning of a negotiating point. And so probably, Stan Kroenke said, I ain't paying for the whole thing. And somebody at FIFA said, okay, how about this much? No, how about a little bit more? They met somewhere in the middle. SoFi will get SoFi's resurrected as a venue. And it's MetLife, the Meadowlands, and it is going to be SoFi from what we understand for your semis. Dell, the tickets are going to be for $11 billion. $11 billion. What I would do if I were you is I would, to enjoy the World Cup experience, I would find the venues with some of the burgeoning nations, some of the growing clubs, the growing countries. Go see those clubs because of the appreciation and the availability of tickets. Your ticket prices shouldn't be that bad, but the opportunity to see these countries close up and see what it looks like. I would go. I would drop dime on all the growing nations and see what's going on there. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we talked about the rescinding of the contract with Gavin Wilkinson. We got into that a little bit. Yeah, the supporters groups less than pleased, and they were 8 days. 8 days. 8 days. And Alex showing a golazo from way downtown. Bang! In the and now if you watch this particular goal in the Cape Verde let's see who's and this is the other thing. If you have the opportunity to watch AFCON, you can do it at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. And all right, so Mozambique and Cape Verde. So let's see, 1836, probably from about 45. You can watch it on BN. Go to Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. You can sign up for Fanati's. You get AFCON. You get For the Fans. You get CDO. You get Gold TV. You get the Brasileiro. You got the Karaoke Championship, which is going on right now. That was on all night last night. But yes, seriously, more than anything else, for BN and AFCON, you get it on Fanati's. However you get your BNs, you can get it on Fanati's. Helps out the network, helps out the show. And from way downtown, 45 yards out, fantastic goal of the tournament. I would agree. From way downtown, bang. Does one team in MLS have rights to Griezmann? Not at the moment. I've heard Griezmann linked to all the big names. I've heard him linked to LA, both. That seems to be what we're staring at. There's also a rumor going on right now that Neymar is his contract is being torn up in the league that we neither condone, endorse, or cover with any great regularity. And the question was raised: would anyone, Miami would make it happen when it comes to Griezmann, but there's a discussion, and it is a rumor. And would a team in Major League Soccer pick up Neymar? Did not see the Richarlison video about Neymar, but and then Alex, yes. Asian Cup on Paramount Plus and Golasso. Asian Cup, definitely. CBS, Golasso, and on Paramount Plus. Fun matches. And Iraq with the huge upset this morning of Iran. Thank you, Alex, for the reminder of that. So we will see what that looks like. Yes, Abby, Miami's out of DP spots, but what do you want to bet they buy down Gregory and they open up something else? Or somebody gets a green card? Yeah. Who is the most famous person in your phone? Oh, man. So 4-card. All right. So 4-card. Now you've said it and you've heard this straight up. All right. So 4-card, you're going to have to do us a public service here. 4-card in the Twitch pitch is saying, you heard a rumor Atlanta United is going to trade with Atleti straight up Almada for Griezmann. Oh, you're making it up. Thank you. Okay. I was going to say, I was like, wait a minute. I hadn't heard that one either. So, okay. You're putting a scare in me, man. But yeah, Neymar is being Neymar's name is being mentioned now. If they tear up his contract, which looks like is going to happen in the Middle East, is he going to come over here to Major League Soccer? First thing I do is I tell my defenders to go for his ankles. He's on the ball, go for his ankles, go for the tackle. Absolutely go for the tackle. Let's see what is up today. Soccer on TV. So now, since we're talking about AFCON and talking about things. He was doing both careers. He was doing both diving and soccer. He's doing both diving and soccer, Del. Come on now. All right. So sections, news, pro, soccer on TV. Yes, sweep the leg. Absolutely sweep the leg. All right. So shocking no one. Major League Soccer came out with an announcement that if you are part of Season Pass, that or if you're part of Apple TV, that you get the chance to watch the tour of Messi and Friends on Season Pass. And part of what's going on today, Cape Verde, Mozambique is going on now. Senegal, Cameroon's at noon. Guinea, Gambia is at 3 o'clock on BN and BN Espanol. We talked about Fanati's. FS2 has Juarez and Cruz Azul at 10 o'clock. ESPN Deportes has La Liga, Alaves, and Cadiz. Fox Deportes has the Coupe de France at 2:45, Liga MX at 10. Gold TV has the Portuguese League, Benfica, Boa Vista. No word on Boa Vista paying anybody yet at 3:15. Serie Rio de la Plata, triple header 3:45, 6 and 8:15. Doubleheader on 2 to NA in Liga MX with the Klaus Surabak. The D1 Arkima's at 3 on DAZN, PSG and Le Havre. The Plus has Belgian Pro, the Championship, the Bundesliga, La Liga. Fox Soccer Plus has the Coupe de France simulcast. Golasso Network already had Iraq and Japan. We talked about that big upset. MLSsoccer.com, in addition to Apple TV, has Messi and Friends in El Salvador, and Paramount Plus has the Asian Cup with the triple header 6:30, 9:30, 12:30. Vietnam and Indonesia would be heading to the second half. Hong Kong and Iran's at 12:30. Supercopa, Inter and Lazio is at 2 o'clock. Justin, yes, the Sporting Kansas City announcement's up and running. We bring in Jared Smith. Jared, Gavin Wilkinson, 8 days on the job and is gone.
Yeah, because Sporting Kansas City made a bad decision. And now they are going to deal with the fallout from that. And there's going to be a degree of like, hey, good job, making a better decision. How you can avoid these, having to make a better decision is to just make one from the jump.
Make the good decision from the beginning.
Yeah. Make a good decision from the start instead of like doing this like buddy routine and then he's buddies with, I think it was Peter Vermes he had an existing relationship with. So instead of doing that and like, we're bringing him in, no, just
don't bring him in.
Don't. Like, no, seriously, just don't bring him in. Because and so often you can get away with that in these days because of the way information flows so unholy quickly, where people get mad about stuff like that and they get over it real quickly. Yeah. This one wasn't going to die that same way.
No.
I think they kind of thought, okay, well, we'll bring him in. Peter Vermes is in charge of a lot of things in Kansas City. I don't know if he has complete final say, but again, like a message to Nick and you, like, you have removed the knife from your hand. If only you had not put it there in the first place.
Strange how that works. Yes. 4-card. Actually, first and foremost, Dell wants to know where your mouth is on your avatar.
It was destroyed long ago. Like the ring thrown into the mountain. Mile High made this for me years ago. I forget when exactly, but
So, like I said, he was just checking, and so he was trying to figure out what was going on with all of that. All right, so elsewhere on the board, 4-card says also credit for realizing the mistake and correcting, better than just sticking with it and surviving the PR hit.
It is, and as cynical as I'm being about it right now, like, it is better that you did that. That you, it is better that you realized you made a bad decision and you addressed it.
Yep.
It's kind of like, the best time to have done the right thing is at the beginning. The second best time is right now.
Yes.
So, good credit for that. To Bill's point, doesn't someone else
traditionally
get fired usually for making a bad decision?
But it won't be Peter Vermes. It won't be Peter Vermes.
That's the thing, man. Yeah, Peter Vermes is in charge. Like, he's got that Bill Belichick role locked down up there, where he is call it technical director, call it whatever you want, general manager and head coach. Like, I think that would have to come from ownership to pull the plug on him like that. And he's an institution there. I don't know that they'll do it. Now, that doesn't make it right or wrong. I'm just telling you, I don't know that they'll do it.
Yes. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. And Atlanta United's having their press opportunity. And Brad Gazan spoke earlier this morning. It looks like Gonzalo Pineda is speaking now, and he's running through the gauntlet. And we'll have the details on that when it's all over. A couple of other pieces of news. NYCFC signed Keaton Parks to a contract extension through 26 with options. And a piece that came out yesterday, Jarrett, Jacko to Charleston. Jackson Conway gets to hang out with Dell, and so now it is Ben Pierman and Jackson Conway up top.
Yeah, and Ben Pierman did some damn work up there in year one. And Dell, I'm sure, would be able to speak to it as well as anybody, is You had Augie as an institution in Charleston.
Yes,
As
we
much
did.
as you can have a USL institution, it was him, and what? It was Lily Ball in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Especially east of the Mississippi. Those were the guys. Augie leaves. You have one weird year where you decide to try and play a hard press that made no damn sense, and the team was just bad. Charleston spent a year being everyone's get right game. They win, and they got Ben Pierman, and now you get Jackson Conway. And look, I don't know what Jackson Conway's ceiling is, but I feel very comfortable in thinking that in that team in USL, he will be just fine, and might be able to get some traction going up to the next level, perhaps for him. Yeah, maybe it's like he put up numbers, but also he does a lot of the dirty work that you need from a number 9. He's going to run around. He's going to draw. He's going to draw bodies. He's going to press. He's going to make the runs that don't get paid off. He's going to do the hard, dirty work that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. And I'm excited for him to get this opportunity.
Some of the greatest hits from the press opportunity with Atlanta United this morning. Brad Gazan said he'd always knew he'd be back for another year. Noted all positions always need competition when speaking about Josh Cohen and the incoming transfers. Said it was clear the strides Atlanta United made last year with the new players coming in, finding their feet. Discussed being harder to play against, especially on the road, improving the team's mentality. Those are all things that hopefully we can correct going into this year. Brooks Lennon, coming off of a 10-assist season, says his goal in 24 is 5 and 15. 5 goals and 15 assists. The team pushing for the top 4, getting home field advantage in the first round. Disappointed the club couldn't get there last year. In order to win right away, you've got to have the right mindset. That's key. Had a very positive conversation, meaning Brooks, with Greg Berhalter about the January camp. Understood that most players in the camp were brought in with an eye toward building the team for the Paris Olympics. He does want to make sure that he's ready for his next opportunity. Focused on a top 4 finish this season. Chatted with him. Gonzalo Pineda, when Gonzo came up, club's focus in the preseason, defensive actions, collectively pressing better, continuing main ideas in the attack, mentality away from home is a focus as well. The club playing all preseason matches away from home was intentional. Bartosz Slisz, great player all around, plays very good with the ball, always demanding with it, helped the team playing out of the back. Stian Gregerson, physical, super fast, aggressive in the air. Leadership he brings will be helpful. And so that's the early hits from the press opportunity this morning involving Brad, Brooks Lennon, and now Gonzalo Pineda. So that's the early hits this morning from Atlanta United camp. Interesting to find out that all of the stuff, all of the matches away on purpose, Jared. I thought that was interesting to hear.
Makes sense. You create discomfort doing that. You make it more challenging for guys, and challenging for guys who are going to have to find their rhythm together. Like these players are going to have to find rhythm together in the midfield. They're going to have to find the back line. I know we talked about it the other night, whether it's Cohen or Guzan and goal, how that communication develops. And how these guys, continue to grow and play together, not just as individuals. And yeah, you might have some moments early in the season where guys are finding themselves, but you want it to grow as it goes.
Yeah, and so we'll see what it looks like. But with Atlanta United, everything on the road, we'll see. And obviously, having a guy like Stian Gregerson at the back is going to be interesting with that 6'4" frame. And there might be one more addition going forward, maybe, possibly, probably. So we'll keep an eye on that. And so that's where we are right now with Atlanta United. And like I said, Jared, it looks like World Cup finals in Dallas, and looks like it's going to be the Meadowlands and SoFi for your semifinals. Still waiting to hear official, but February 4th is a Sunday. We might have to actually come on the air and do like a live walkthrough when folks are finding out venues and things.
We might.
And I'm Yep. So we'll see what happens with the venues in 26, but we will keep an eye on that. Well, and there was another rumor yesterday that came out, and could it be the return of La Pantera? Albert Elise, Emery Tyne from L'Equipe, 24,000 followers on the 280 character app. Tyne is claiming that the LA Galaxy and the Revs are interested in Albert Elise. Ligue de Bordeaux, remember, hey, Bordeaux, we know all about Bordeaux. Ligue de side seeking a €3.5 million transfer fee for the Honduran international. So we talk about Atlanta United going after players that are in distressed assets and clubs that are in need of financial boosting, especially if their situation on the field isn't all that great. So Atlanta United has gone to Ligue 2 and possibly, probably, maybe, perhaps, going to Bordeaux again. The Galaxy and the Revs chasing after Albert Elise. Possibility, maybe, probably, possibly, perhaps. Albert Elise.
Yeah, I mean, but like, I feel like we've been teased by this for like a year now. Going on a year. Like, every time the window opens, there's at least one instance of Albert Elise being retied to MLS. I don't know if there's any momentum to this.
Yeah.
Until we see more, any report with Albert Elise is very similar to an Andres Cordaro one.
Yeah.
In the sense of, what's that, Lucy? A football for me to kick? Huh. Can't imagine how this will end. So I would be excited for Albert Elise to come back to MLS. He was linked to the Gal. I think he was linked to LAFC in Atlanta last time.
Yeah.
Loosely. Let's just see, man. I want more concrete rumors before I get my hopes up, because it just keeps happening over and over and over and over.
Yes, it is Lucy in the football right now. Right now, just so everybody knows, Bordeaux, at the halfway point of the season in Ligue 2, is 3 points out of the relegation zone. They are at 22 points. And right now, the relegation zone in Ligue 2 is 17, 18, 19, and 20. Bordeaux is in 15th. And they are only 3 points out of relegation discussions. So, I mean, if something happens there,
if we see more information on it, I will believe it. Until then, I'm just going to go about my day. I have seen too many rumors about him coming back to MLS that turn into nothing. Great. They're rumors. We can discuss them loosely as rumors. Who said anything about rumors?
Yeah.
But until there's something concrete, then it is just Andres Guardado 2.0, and I am still waiting on Guardado to make the move from PSV to Atlanta in 2016.
Yes. Abby with the public service announcement for those of you in Cobb County. Boil water alert. There's a water main break. So if you are in Cobb County, South Cobb, if you're in South Cobb, boil your water. Water main break. And since since it is a Friday, getting everybody lined up for your weekend. Dell says he's running his first half marathon tomorrow in 20 to 30 degree weather. My first question is why? And Dell says, if you don't see me next week, this is why. He may die. Then, Dell, why are you running your first half marathon in 20 or 30 degree weather? That's my question. We don't want you to die, but we also want you to take care of yourself in 20 to 30 degree weather running 13.1 miles. Yes, and Abby, once again, reminding us, drip your faucets. Drip your faucets tonight into tomorrow. 11 degrees. 11 degrees here in Atlanta. That is somewhat what we refer to as cold. Jarrett, we mentioned signings involving Atlanta United 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something else for you after that.
Okay. Well,
or got other news.
Well, okay. Well, hang on. Javier Armas is signed in the midfield for Atlanta United 2. Started Oregon State, Pac-12 honors in his first 2 seasons. So 48th overall pick in the Super Draft, wore the captain's armband. So 77 matches, 6 goals, 10 assists. Played and started in 20. His final season at Oregon State, semifinal round of the College Cup. Played 9 years for the Deportivo La Coruña Academy before he came to the U.S. Javier Armas through the 24 season in MLS Next Pro club option for 25. Go. What's on your mind?
Have y'all discussed the Sam Mewis stuff yet?
No, we have not.
Sam Mewis is retiring.
Wow. Okay, that I did not know. That's the beauty. It's the beauty of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, Sam Mewis is retiring. Hold on.
Due to a knee injury, retired at the age of 31.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Jacobs.
Man, we're getting old. Not her, us.
Well, yeah.
Unfortunately, my knee can no longer tolerate the impact that elite soccer requires. This isn't what I wanted. It's clear that this is the only path forward for me. Plan to share more about my journey of my injury someday. I know there are many athletes who have faced the unique struggle of stepping away from sports early. I think these stories deserve to be told and heard. I'm excited to announce I'll be joining the Men in Blazers Media Network to lead women's soccer coverage.
Whoa, there you go.
So, yeah, Sam Mewis. Going out damn near on the top in terms of what she was as a player and what she is.
83 caps, 24 goals out of the midfield. Top player in the 2019 World Cup. Soccer Female Player of the Year 2020. Making her one of just 20 women to win U.S. Soccer's most prestigious award, 2021. In Manchester City, named number 1 on ESPN FC's list of the world's best women's soccer players. 2020 FA Cup final win over Everton, joining Rose Lavelle, a teammate on that side. Let's see. She and Carly Lloyd and Rose Lavelle and Christian Pulisic, only Americans to win the FA Cup. One of few players in U.S. history to win a FIFA Youth Women's World Cup, a Senior Women's World Cup, a professional championship, and an NCAA title. Finished her U20 career, 38 caps, 7 goals. U17 career, 13 caps and 8 goals. Sam Mewis, one of the most decorated players in U.S. soccer history, announces her retirement. The Tower of Power is going to be missed, but she's heading to Men in Blazers at the age of 31. So she's going to be orchestrating their coverage of women's soccer at the age of 31.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see that expand out. Want to see what she's able to contribute. That sucks that she's having to walk away before, I feel like it's before she's ready to.
Yep.
To get an idea of how she's phrasing that. But yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it is. So
the last generation continues to slowly step away.
Yep. I'm going to put out the bat signal and see if Bart can hop on to discuss this. And because when you have someone of this status retire, then that's big. He may still be in the real world having to do with like job stuff, but I'm going to reach out to him and see if he is still doing real world stuff right now, because to discuss what's going on with Sam Mewis, then that's big. Otherwise, we'll have Bart talk about it on Monday during his normal segment, and we'll go over what's going on there. Let's see. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We got player movement and all these kinds of things. So let me go into that this morning. Nothing like having breaking news happen like 20 minutes before the end of the show. At least it didn't happen 20 minutes after the show, like it traditionally does. Manchester United considering a revamp of their defense, which could mean Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof leaving if significant offers are made. Juve and the Netherlands defender Matthijs de Ligt, one of the targets being considered by the Red Devils. Fulham made a bid of $30 million plus another 5 in add-ons for Fluminense midfielder Andre. They've already agreed to personal terms. That's from Ben Jacobs. Ben Jacobs is very, very busy this morning. Sporting Lisbon manager Ruben Amorim says Chelsea will have to trigger the €100 million release clause of Victor Gyökeres if they want to sign him. West Ham, one of the clubs interested in Manchester City midfielder Calvin Phillips, and the Hammers well placed to win the race. City have a strong interest in bringing in Pedro Porro from Spurs and Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz back to the club in deals that could cost them £200 million. The league in the Middle East that we neither mention, endorse, or really cover, ready to revive their interest in Mo Salah in the summer. Injury scare. We're going to have to keep an eye on it from AFCON. He had to leave because of a hamstring injury in the match that he was in yesterday. Newcastle may sell Joelinton in the summer if they fail to agree to an extension, which expires in 18 months. Karim Benzema is open to leaving Al Ittihad. While his move to England is a possibility, the wages may prove to be a stumbling block because dude's getting like $200 million. Villa have launched a bid to sign Middlesbrough winger Morgan Rogers, with Unai Emery keen on the player who has represented England at the youth level. James Maddison at Spurs, aiming to return from a knee injury from his side's FA Cup fourth-round tie against Manchester City on the 26th of January. Leeds working on a permanent deal to sign Joe Rodon, valued at more than £15 million. Lyon trying to sign 26-year-old Netherlands winger Ono Danjuma, who joined Everton on a season-long loan from Villarreal last summer. Amadou Onana has been linked with Arsenal, but Toffee's boss Sean Dyche played down speculation linking the Belgium international with an exit. And Javier Manquillo from set to leave Newcastle and join La Liga side Celta de Vigo because, remember, they're dealing with FFP. And Italy striker Moise Kean. This was, we got to keep an eye on this one because this plays into the Thiago Almada conversation. It appears, and this happened yesterday, and we'll see if there's been any updates. But Moise Kean, and we talked about it with Nick, Moise Kean is now being linked to the move to Atletico Madrid that was tied initially to Thiago Almada. So that is, is it going to be Almada? Is it going to be Moise Kean? And you're trying to figure out what the latest is there. Is it going to be Almada? And remember the succession plan here in that Atleti was player move to Atletico Madrid, same agent that Thiago Almada has, same representation. Almada would take that slot. But now there's the discussion that Moise Kean would be the name as opposed to Thiago Almada that would be loaned from Juve to Atleti to take over that space. So it would be Angel Correa and Al Ittihad. And this is Fabrizio Romano's update from this morning. So keep an eye on this. Al Ittihad, Atletico Madrid remain locked in talks for Angel Correa. Negotiations continue despite distance on the asking price. Correa keen on the move, waiting for clubs to advance in talks. Atleti have already agreed on the loan deal for Moise Kean as the replacement. So Fabrizio Romano is leaning in the direction of the discussion with Moise Kean going from Juve to Atleti instead of a purchase of Thiago Almada to Atletico Madrid. So obviously, if the price tag is a little less and you're just loaning Moise Kean to help that out, that would be what you're staring at right now with that. Catching up with Bart, and he wrote quickly to us. He said, and Del Schaefer, Trent Alexander-Arnold close to a return, not this weekend. Quite sad that Sam's career was ended so abruptly, and even more sad that it was ended after a couple of years of uncertainty. I think any women's national team fan would admit that not having her at last summer's World Cup truly hurt the team, but I'm hopeful she's not done with soccer. So that's your Sam Mewis update from Bart as he is running around buildings in the real world trying to do his real world job. So we'll catch up with Bart on Monday. Dell says that Inter Miami buses were surrounded by fans in El Salvador. Weird.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, really?
I'm once again asking for us to like have a cross Atlantic matchups where we mix up UEFA and CONCACAF.
Yeah.
Because I want to see like Belgium and England have to go play in El Salvador.
Oh, that would
I
be.
want to send the Irish to Costa Rica.
Oh, that'd be great.
I want to hear them complain about how long the trip is and the quality of the field and the fans. I want to send, I don't know, send like Portugal to Trinidad and Tobago. Like send them right after a tropical storm rolls through, and like to get on the playing surface, you have to take your shoes off and jump over this giant puddle. The puddle may or may not be one of the puddles in The Magician's Nephew, the first book of C.S. Lewis's Narnia series.
There you go.
You jump in and out of the puddles to go to different worlds.
Okay.
The puddle may or may not take you to a different world, but you have to jump over it to get onto the playing surface in Trinidad. I want the European clubs to have to suffer this. Yeah, England and Azteca. Well, England's played in Azteca before, but yeah, don't make it like a World Cup match. I want it to be like, honestly, Azteca's like maybe a little too nice. I want them to suffer like the weirdest possible discomfort we can possibly find. Like, we're sending them down to play on basically the carpet that used to line the Georgia Dome.
Oh, that welcome mat?
Yeah, that green welcome mat.
Oh, gosh.
And I want it to be like 88 degrees at night. The fences that line the field are being shaken. There may or may not be a large cat loose on the field.
No, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, the altitude. If you want altitude, man, send them down to La Paz.
Oh.
You got to send one of the Mediterranean nations down up to La Paz, though. You got to send some of them sea level folk up to La Paz and just see what the hell happens.
Yes, that'd be epic. I'm looking forward to. I'm just give me all of the madness. That's what I want. I don't mind. I don't mind crazy. I really don't. Just give me good crazy. That's what I'm hunting for. Let's see what else is on. What else was on the dossier this morning? Jordan Henderson, he has moved on, and Jurgen Klopp made a point to sit there and say, and it was straight up Jurgen Klopp. And I've got to find the press conference. By the way, Prem and Proper will be coming up later today. Thomas Frank says that Ivan Toney will start and captain on his official return Saturday night. So we'll keep an eye on Ivan Toney. Remember, we've got about 12 days left in the transfer window. Brentford's got a £100 million price tag attached. Peterborough United's like, go for it because we won our 10%. All those kinds of things. Jordan Henderson says that financial considerations had nothing to do with the decision to join Ajax instead of returning to the Premier League. So he's saying that the $3 million that he would have owed His Majesty's royalty and customs ain't got nothing to do with it. Finalized the switch from Al Ettifaq to end his 3-year deal after 6 months. Reports had suggested he would have faced a large tax bill, but he insisted the move was purely a sporting decision. Don't believe what you read in the press. Had nothing to do with anything but football. Felt it was the perfect opportunity to come to such a huge club and showcase what I've tried to do my whole life, to dedicate myself to football. Welcome here has been incredible, overwhelmed, blah, 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 blah. I learned a lot in Saudi Arabia, but it didn't work out. That's what he says.
And it's happening a lot now. More and more people are like going to Saudi Arabia, taking the money, and then like after a year, they're like, it wasn't for me. Granted, you're making like a career's worth of salary in that 1 year, so you go there, you stomach a year, you get the salary, probably tax free, and then you go back and you play elsewhere. This is like the 20-year-old kid who like took a stint going up and doing like Alaskan crab fishing. Like, I'm gonna go make a quick season's money there, and oh god, oh no. Yeah.
There's work here.
It's work.
Yes,
That's
it's
for sure.
absolute work.
It's not identical, but
Jurgen Klopp has questioned how people dare to criticize Jordan Henderson following the end of his time in Saudi Arabia.
Because we do.
Yep. Klopp hit back on the suggestions.
That's what we do, man.
Come under scrutiny for leaving Al Ettifaq after 6 months, despite saying that he wanted to help grow football in the country. Quote, people are really critical with Hendo about the move. First there, and now he's coming back. I don't know how we dare always judging these kinds of things. We have one life, and we have to make decisions. Sometimes our decisions are perfect. Sometimes it feels different after you made them, Jared, to your point. It was 100% an interesting experience. I spoke to him, and 99% of the football stuff was fine. It was the start of something with many things to develop in the future, but he was never really critical. But he thought it was better for him and his family to come back to Europe, and Ajax are a sensational club. Henderson said, I'm sad to say I'm leaving. Keep hoping to watch. Good luck for your future. Al Ettifaq Club President Samer Al Misahal said, firstly, the club would like to thank Jordan. All this is word salad. Always respectful of the players. Ajax's boss says Jordan Henderson has experience and leadership qualities. But we only have one life, Jarrett. How dare we criticize Jordan Henderson?
I mean, you chose to go play in a place that has a lot of issues. That have been discussed. Like, it's not like they're secret issues. Or very public issues. And you choose to take like retirement level money to do it.
Yep.
Well, that's between you and you. But let's not pretend like that doesn't factor into your decision. At some point along the road, you're a public figure. You're going to be open to criticism. Jurgen Klopp doesn't need to be the one standing here telling me who I can and can't criticize.
But he'll be more.
I had talked about this a couple months ago that like the people who make these moves over there, we don't know their entire situations.
No.
And like I said, I mean, you go over there, you might make money that you can literally retire on in a year's time.
Yeah.
Like life-changing money, not just for you, but for your family. It's different for everybody. And it's a different conversation for everybody and how they want to deal with it. And yeah, people are going to criticize you for it because of where you're going and the reasons for it. Everybody's for sale for the right price to go do that kind of stuff.
Hey, $1 Million Man said it. Ted DiBiase. Everybody's got a price.
Yeah, I don't know. You're going to be criticized for it one way or another. And I don't need Jurgen Klopp getting mad and stomping his feet and yelling and doing the thing that he does that angers me as much as anything. It makes me roll my eyes out of my head. Where he kind of alternates between the fun, loving, easygoing, goofy, affable, fun coach and also the guy who tries to play fun police with people's criticism.
Yeah.
Pick a lane, man. Don't quit taking your half out the middle.
That's where the traction is. It's like, it's like if there's ice in the left-hand lane, ice in the right-hand lane, you figure out where the black ice is, you drive right over it. Sometimes it's in the middle of the road. Going back over comments, let's see. Michael Valverde, any new rumors on additions to Atlanta United? Fingers crossed Thiago stays for 24. Michael, to your point, everybody's got a price, and what we're hearing, like I said, we gave you the latest on the Angel Correa movement. Angel Correa out, Thiago Almada considered, 22 to 25 euros, €1 million is the number. So that's what we're staring at to do Atleti a favor. But if Atleti can get Moise Kean cheaper, they may do that for this season. And then it might be something that Thiago moves in the summer. Don't know. Don't know of any other moves or ideas or any thoughts involving Thiago at the moment. But you're always listening and you're always trying to come up with the next big thing. So you're staring at it like that and keeping an eye on where the where the financials are these days. What's the going rate? What are players going for? What can we get? And then if you can't get your top end price, then look at percentages. Look at percentage of the pass and keep an eye on that as a part of the deal. That's why I was thinking that if it's not 30 and it's 22 to 25, then you're getting a sell on that is attached to all of those things. So just keep an eye on all of that, and it's officially official. Lower.com is going to host the She Believes Championship and the third place matches on April 9th. That has just come out from Columbus Crew. They will host, and Atlanta United, Mercedes-Benz will have the semifinals on the 5th. Jason Nix, to our point earlier, we were talking about the issues with Reading, and I mentioned Blackpool fan protests. Blackburn, sorry. It was Blackburn fan protests at Ewood, where they were so mad at the owners, the owners of Venky's Chicken, that the fans at the Blackburn Rovers would actually take chickens, smuggle them into Ewood Park, and release them onto the field. That was how mad they were at one point about the management, the ownership of Blackburn, and how they were running them into the ground, and they were not going to be long for the Premier League. But yes, chickens have been smuggled into Premier League matches, and it happened at Blackburn Rovers. How do you smuggle in a chicken, Nix asks. I would answer very, very carefully. That is my thought on how you smuggle in a chicken. Or the gate guard, Jarrett, and it's like, bruh.
Maybe. Also, I think we're thinking about this strictly from the American sense of we know how easy or difficult it is to get into stadiums.
Yes.
And maybe it's not the same over there. I don't know for sure. It might just be a different way to get into stadiums. It might be easier to take a bag in.
Yeah.
But it varies here in the United States. I mean, heck, back in the day, to avoid buying food at Braves games, I think my wife at one point took Lunchables into Braves games.
Yeah.
And you used to be able to do that in places. You can't really anymore. I mean, for the longest time, it was like an open secret that everyone was smuggling flasks into Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, even though now they serve alcohol, because it was insane that they didn't.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've smuggled. I have absolutely smuggled in drinks and things in oversized coats. Oh, I've definitely done that. I just don't know how. You smuggle in a live chicken. And Tom says he was there when they were having the fan protests. He said it was fascinating. I'm just like I said, I just don't know how you get the live chicken into the building. That's my biggest thing. I just have no bloody clue. And Jarrett does the Irish goodbye because he's got to work. He's got working things that he has to do. I think how do you smuggle a chicken into a soccer stadium with two hands? Absolutely. Michael, believe the Braves still allow food to be brought into the stadium, and not necessarily a surprise there. Other gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. Let's see. So yes, Jordan Henderson. Bayern is interested in Kieran Trippier. Chelsea is willing to sell Armando Broja for £50 million amid interest from Fulham and Wolves. Ivan Toney says you can never predict the right time to move, but that Brentford is going to be chasing after a good $100 million. Looking at things in a couple of other divisions, Granada, Manchester United in loan talks over Facundo Pellistri. Contract runs until 25. Club holds an option to extend it by another 12 months. Chris Wilder is delighted with the Ben Brereton Diaz signing. You should be. You need all the offensive help you can get. That's a great pull. Luke Amos is training with Hibs this week. And let's see, Sheffield United need a decent offer on Anel Ahmedhodzic amid interest from Napoli. The Napoli's willing to pay around £17 million, €20 million to sign him after missing out on Dragusin. David Moyes is giving nothing away about their interest in Calvin Phillips. Ivan Perisic has joined Hajduk Split on loan for the rest of the year, and that will bring his time at Spurs to an end. That contract expires this summer. Emile Smith-Rowe focused on fighting for a place in Arsenal's starting 11 amid interest from Premier League clubs. He's interested in staying. Brendan Rodgers is not aware on any interest of his midfielder Matt O'Reilly. Girona are interesting, making a move ahead of the transfer deadline. Mikel Arteta is happy with Emile Smith-Rowe and the players that he currently has. Thomas Frank says it's like a new signing with Ivan Toney. He's not wrong. Let's see. Perfect opportunity for Ivan Toney to do things well. Abby had mentioned Japan Space Agency says its unmanned spacecraft is on the moon but still checking its status. And that happened about a half hour ago. One other thing that was brought up this morning, and kind of keep an eye on it when you are looking at the status of sales. AC Milan could be sold for 1.6 million euro, 1.6 billion euro at the end of the year if a report from Republica is correct. The PIF won a majority stake in the 1.6 billion euro valued AC Milan by the end of the year. Morning edition of La Repubblica via Radio Rossonero writes the PIF are interested in acquiring a majority stake. Newspaper has been reporting for several weeks there could be changes at the top of the club. Today they've gone a bit bigger, a bit further. New rumors have arrived from the Middle East regarding the future corporate reorganization of Milan because the fund interested in the Rossonero are keen on getting a deal done as soon as possible. It's the PIF. Almost a total acquisition. The Republica says the fund are interested in acquiring the majority shares of the club by the end of the season. And if in the summer of 22, Milan were valued at 1.2, and that was the figure agreed between Redbird and Elliott Management, the club are now worth around 1.6 billion euro, according to the source. Hypothesis put forward by Republica, however, goes in the opposite direction. If 2 months ago it was Cardinal and CEO Giorgio Furlani who traveled to meetings in Arabia, now the journey in the opposite direction of the PIF Aramco emissaries would testify to the leap forward in the story. If La Repubblica are correct in their reporting, according to Sempre Milan, the coming weeks could be much clearer than it is today. So keep an eye on that one as well. She believes broadcast details before we go, now that we're on the plus side. It is going to be U.S., Japan, Brazil, and Canada at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 12:30 and 3:30 on April the 6th. And that is going to be on TNT, Universo, Max, and Peacock. Brazil and Canada is going to be on Universo, Max, and Peacock. Then it goes to lower.com for Japan and USA versus some TBDs. They're going to travel to Columbus, hosting the final two games. USA plays in the 7 o'clock slot. TBS, Universo, Max, and Peacock, same at 4 o'clock for the third place match. And the other game is going to go there. 4 and 7, 12:30, 3:30 in Atlanta, 4 and 7 on the 9th of April. So there you go. David says you need the downtown Hilton pants to snuggle a chicken. Very nice. Lots of ballroom. I feel like I need a rim shot sometimes. All right. So, yes, Kane Dyer and Trips. See a pattern emerging. A couple of players from Spurs heading over to one location. So there you go. All right. So that is another week here at SDH. If you've missed anything, we'll give you the ICYMIs about all of our interviews. We had a great interview with Apotheos yesterday and their new head coach, Jonathan Mercado. So we'll catch up with him. All those kinds of things that we had. Very, very busy week here on the network. Over the weekend, we're going to catch up with some Georgia Impact players who are now playing in Costa Rica. That'll be a Sunday interview. That'll post Sunday afternoon. So they will be in Costa Rica, and we're going to turn it fairly quickly. Georgia Impact in Costa Rica playing for Escazú. And then we'll catch up with those folks. Back at it again next week for another go-around of Soccer's Morning Show. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Michael Parkhurst. Thanks to all the guests that we have all week long. Couldn't do it without you. It's been a very, very busy news day. A lot of stuff going on across the board, and thankful that you all are a part of it. So getting ready for the high school season coming up in a couple of weeks, getting ready for the pro season coming up in a couple of weeks with folks who are going to be having games in friendlies and locations and things like that. We'll have our grid and all of our thoughts of everything going forward. But for Jarrett, for Nick, for Jason, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out for another week of Soccer's Morning Show. We made it. Enjoy your weekend. Please take care of the 3 Ps: your pets, your pipes, your people. Pets, pipes, and people. David, thank you as well for being a part of everything. Thanks to everybody on the Twitch pitch. Thanks to everybody who watched. Thanks to everybody who listens. Thanks to everybody who interacts the way that you do every single week. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. It's the end of the show. That means I get to do this. Set on your notifications if you haven't. And get ready for Top Golf on Thursday. Sign up if you haven't signed up. And we've also got the Marshall Island scarves. We are working on a price point where you can help out the last nation on the planet without a national team. We're doing our part. We have the chance to do the same thing here. So for everybody here at SDH, we're out. We'll see you again on the weekend. Play it safe, everybody. Well, see you Monday, if not sooner.